Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all in your part of the world from Melbourne, Australia, and welcome to the World Literacy Summit 2020. My name is Margaret Chen, founder of the program Reading in Colour. Today I'm giving you a presentation on U-Turn, the Alphabetic Principle. This presentation addresses the essential elements that force a U-turn on the complex nature of the alphabetic principle. Firstly, I will establish a common definition of the alphabetic principle and then briefly dissect a sample of its complex nature. Many educational resources stem from this complex nature and thereby has become the centre of learning and foundation of literacy acquisition over the centuries. Following, I will briefly explain the science and mathematical principles that force the U-turn, and as a result of the U-turn, I will demonstrate exponential growth on reading development. Finally, I will propose a time scale for an intervention program parallel to a grade 1 to grade 3 classroom. There are various definitions of the alphabetic principle. Here I've referenced two sources. Fundamentally, the simplest definition is the understanding of the sound-spelling relationship between written letters and spoken words. Here I show a timeline of very early publications of dictionaries through to publications of modern-day educational resources used in literacy acquisition. The point I want to make in this slide is that all the educational resources, academic studies, teaching methodologies rest on the foundation of this complex nature of the alphabetic principle. Learning English requires the understanding of homographs, homophones, heteronyms, and homonyms, such as in Table 1. Homographs, homophones. There is a list of words with the same spelling, same pronunciation, and meaning where context and grammatical features of its application need to be understood. For example, the verb date as in an appointment, the noun date as in calendar date, and date as in the fruit. Table 2. Homographs, heteronyms, are words with the same spelling but different pronunciations and different meanings. For example, read a book in the present tense and read a book in the past tense. Same spelling. Lead the verb or led the metal element. Again, same spelling. Row as in the verb row a boat, or the noun a row of bottles, or the noun pronounced row as in a boisterous loud argument. All the same spelling, different meaning. And lastly, Table 3, homonyms. I have to use my colour coding to help me with the pronunciation. And homophones. Same pronunciation but different spellings and different meanings. Read spelt R-E-A-D and read spelt R-E-D. Same pronunciation, different spelling. The preposition to and the numeral to spelt T-W-O. To know something spelt K-N-O-W, and the adverb know spelt N-O, etc., etc. Lack of understanding homographs, homophones, heteronyms, and homonyms significantly impacts reading proficiency, efficiency, and accuracy. This slide shows how the International Phonetic Alphabet assists in dispelling the confusion in the pronunciation of words caused by spelling variations of the one vowel sound. the vowel sound oo is spelt in 10 different ways. To, T-W-O, to, T-O-O, flu, F-L-U, F-L-E-W, fruit, F-R-U-I-T, to, T-O, glue, G-L-U-E, shoe, S-H-O-E, sleuth, S-L-E-U-T-H, soup, S-O-U-P. All those vowel sounds have the same vowel pronunciation oo, and that is simplified by the phonetic symbol oo. The International Phonetic Alphabet kills two birds with one stone by assisting with decoding the spelling variations of words and helping to pronounce words with accuracy. To further simplify the confusion of the many spelling variations of the one vowel sound in words, the dimension of colour has been inserted to unify the scripted form of both the vowel spellings in words and the scripted symbol of the International Phonetic Alphabet. So instead of killing two birds with one stone, the dimension of colour inserted into the orthography feeds two birds with one scone. In context of words with the same spelling but different pronunciation, as mentioned earlier in Table 2, homographs, heteronyms, the dimension of colour cues in the correct pronunciation of the words. The first box of words are conventional sight words with irregular sound spelling relationships. The second box contains the same set of sight words but are color-coded. Once the color-code sound relationship has been learned, the pronunciation of the words is immediate and accurate. There is no need for the International Phonetic Symbol, and there is no need to change the spelling of words. The dimension of colour inserted into the English reading and writing system, or the English orthography, is the pivotal point that simplifies the complex nature of the alphabetic principle. The colour-coded orthography accelerates the acquisition of all macro skills in reading, writing, speaking, and listening. The mathematical equation that instigates the pivotal point to force a U-turn on the alphabetic principle is if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C, whereby in a true statement, A equals the spelling variations of the one vowel sound, B equals the identified vowel sound, and C equals the colour attached to the identified vowel sound. According to transitive law in mathematics and logic, the application of this mathematical equation is by virtue always a true statement. This is a visual to show that reading in colour can be applied indiscriminately throughout the world and interconnect with local scripts. This graph indicates the red line of growth in reading from grade 1 to grade 3, ages 5 to 8, based on the complex nature of the alphabetic principle versus the exponential growth of the blue line based on the mathematical equation that forces a U-turn on the alphabetic principle. The perimeter of convergence is where X number of students on both the lineal and exponential lines converge, and reading development is at the same level for both cohorts of students taught according to the conventional method and the exponential method. Below the perimeter of convergence, reading progress appears to be slow and is below the line of the linear growth, but above the perimeter of convergence, it is where reading growth of the blue line surges exponentially. The distance between the exponential growth line and the lineal growth line is the exponential zone. It is a time vacuum that's been created and can be filled for additional learning. This is the graph that simulates the varying degrees of exponential growth of learning where the mathematical formula has been applied. This slide shows an approximate time frame for the exponential growth in reading development to reach the perimeter of convergence. No progress is obvious below the red line, while the alphabetic principle is reset with the exponential teaching approach. The time frame for professional development would be about 1 term. Classroom implementation would be in the following 2nd term, and by the end of 3rd term, an estimated period of 9 months, the exponential cohort of students will have reached the perimeter of convergence. Once reaching the crossroad at the perimeter of convergence, the exponential teaching method in reading development surges, but in varying degrees depending on the capacity of each individual's student conceptual development.
Okay, how old are you?
Samples of
I've got some little cards here, and I want you to look at the cards and mix them around and put the cards in 2 separate piles. One pile for colour and the other pile for black and white. Can you do that? Well done, excellent. So you have one pile that's coloured and the other pile that's not coloured, alright?
So this is the hard pile and this is the easy.
Tell me how you felt when you learnt these words.
Happy.
You felt happy, did you? Alright, was it too hard? No, what did you like about it?
How I read the words.
And?
The pictures helped me.
Understand the meaning of the words, yes. And how about the coloured words? Can you say something about that?
And the coloured words helped me how to read it, like the letters in the middle of the word.
This slide shows a sample display of teaching resources that have been developed to work together with the exponential teaching methodology. Flashcards, sight words, charts, color-coded cards, a teacher reference dictionary, a series of level 1 short readers, etc. Resources are continually developed and expanding. Here are a few screenshots of my very early works on developing the world's first color-coded dictionary. The most difficult part of the development was establishing the color codes for the identified vowel sounds. The colors have evolved over some 3 decades to get to this final set of coded colors for the Reading in Color program. This is the end of the presentation on U-Turn the Alphabetic Principle. I hope you found it interesting and informative. If you have any questions and would like answers, please email readingincolor@gmail.com and referencing the World Literacy Summit 2020. Thank you for your attention listening to U-Turn the Alphabetic Principle. I wish to express my appreciation to the organisers of the World Literacy Summit 2020 for the opportunity to launch the Reading in Colour program.